If you get chronically tight hips, no matter how much stretching you do, this video is for you. That was me. I used to stretch, I used to do yoga and do all the things I thought were right to help release my hips. But no matter how much I did it over time, they were always so tight and my area that would always be restricted. So we're going to go through why your hips are tight in the first place and the 5 things you can do to start working on actually releasing them long term. The first thing you need to know, tight hips are weak hips. So just stretching them for hours on end is not going to get to the problem. We need to learn to strengthen them in their full range of motion. So specifically your hip flexors. Let's show you an exercise that you can start to do to work on it. First, we need to make sure that we're standing in a neutral spine. So not anteriorly tilted, not tucked under, somewhere in the middle here. From here, we want a straight leg, squeezing that kneecap up so it's really nice and active. And from here, we're going to lift the leg up and lower, taking it through its full range of motion, working this hip flexor and getting it strong in this full range. Because if you've been sitting for long periods of time, these hip flexors stop working. They get stuck in that shortened position and forget that they're actually a muscle that can work for us. Once you've done, say, 8 to 10 of those, you can work on your end range of motion, which is that top range. So you can start somewhere at your top range and do the lift-offs from the top. What you want to make sure you don't do with this one is as you lift the leg, we lose our lower back curve. We don't want that. We want to maintain stability and strength in the rest of the core and lift from the hip flexor. Unless you have got rid of all your furniture, is most likely that you have been sitting for too many hours. And what happens is when we've been sitting for too many hours in a day, for years on end, we get shortened front lines. So the hip flexors are shortened, our quads become shortened, and we need to spend time reversing that position. That is why I love the couch stretch. So in order to set up from the couch stretch, you're going to bring your knee as close as you can to the couch. If you want to put something underneath your knee, you can go for that. From here, you're going to bring the other leg in front. Now you may find you need a chair or a stick for a little bit of support because from here we come to upright. Now once you get here, you want to have your heel as close as you can to your butt, but not like this. We want to be able to tuck under, squeeze our bottom and lift through the front line of this quad here. You want to relax your shoulders, stay upright and be able to breathe. From there, you can do a few things. You can lean back and open, you can tuck under and shift forward, but you want to spend about 2 minutes here. I know that seems like a lot, but if you've been sitting for 8 hours a day, 2 minutes unwinding that work is going to be really effective. So you can do 1 minute this side, 1 minute that side and repeat, or you can do it all in one go. What you will feel is a tightness through the front of the quad to start with, but as it starts to open up, you'll feel it more as you're able to access this tilt here through the pelvis, tucking your tailbone, squeezing your bottom, and you'll get more openness through the front of the hip. Speaking of furniture, most of us spend too much time sitting on it, especially if we've been working at a desk all day and then we come home and sit on a couch. That one of the best things you can do for your hips is to sit on the floor. Now, if you're not used to sitting on the floor, it can be pretty uncomfortable to start with. So what I recommend is getting yourself a bolster or a meditation cushion, something that's going to elevate your hips, because when we do this and we sit down, you can see my hips are elevated above my knees. This is going to allow my spine to be able to move and find its neutral instead of me coming onto the floor and kind of feeling a little stuck and tucked under, and this might cause me some back pain. So grab a cushion, and when you get onto the floor, what you want to do is transition through different floor positions. I've got my Z sit, a little half sit. I can come into my deep squat here. I might explore my butterfly, and I can do these with or without a cushion. But if you're spending a longer period of time on the floor, I recommend using the cushion especially to start with. But spending time in these floor positions, like the deep squat, where I need a good amount of hip flexion, knee flexion, and ankle flexion here, like the fisherman here, sitting up onto my toes, getting movement through my hips, even the kneeling position here, accessing this position really often, but just a few times a day can be really helpful to help unlock the mobility of your hips. So what I recommend, spend at least 10 minutes a day on the floor. Slide off your couch, get on the floor, put a timer on. You can scroll on your phone, you can watch TV, whatever's going to work for you. I also recommend opting to eat one meal a day on the floor. So grab your coffee table out, grab your cushion, sit on the floor and have one meal a day. Because when we sit on the floor, do you know what we need to do? We need to get back up. And when we get on the floor, we need to get down. And this is how we maintain mobility in our hips for life. Also, not sponsored, but I do love my Vendesign cushion. You can go check them out. They are really firm. They also look really chic and just go with any sort of furniture. So you can always have that reminder when you see it, oh yeah, that's going to remind me I can sit on the floor instead of the couch. Another reason your hip can be tight is because you don't have enough hip extension. So when we walk, we need to push off that back foot and get a good amount of hip extension. And if we're restricted in this range of motion, it can be causing compensations and tightness in your hips. So this is a really good exercise that you can do to help work on your hip extension. I like to grab a ball, a block, something to squeeze so I can activate my hamstrings at the back here. I come onto all fours. First, you want to make sure that you're in neutral spine, so somewhere halfway between anterior tilt and posterior tilt. Find the middle. From here, we want to push that heel up to the sky without dropping through the back here. So I maintain my neutral, push that heel, squeeze the block, press up, come down, little tap. You can see I get that shake because my glute is activating here. I'm really working on that end range hip extension. You're not going to get much. It's not a big range of motion, but it's often one that most people are limited in. So with this one, you could do 10 lifts here, and then you can do 10 hip extension lifts in that top range of motion, making sure those hips are square to the ground, and you can even hold here and really feel that opening through the front of the hip while you're engaging the back of the hip. Give that one a go. The hip is a ball and socket joint that doesn't just swing forward and back, it moves through an entire circular range of motion. So if we don't want to get limited in our hip range of motion as we get older, as most people do, we need to make sure we're constantly reminding our body of its full range of motion. You can do this really simply once a day through some hip circles. You could do this standing, so bringing the knee into hip flexion, opening it up to the side, abduction, internally rotating the hip, taking it back into extension, and then coming back knee to knee, moving back, now coming through the front. So we're working on that internal, external rotation of the hip as we come forward and down. So you can move through some hip circles here, maybe going forward and back a few times, like 4 or 5 times on one side. Or you can continue a full circle going 5 one side, and then when you've done your 5, going 5, pulling the foot through, trying to aim to get your greatest, safest range of motion your hip will allow, and coming back the way you came. Such a good way to just include that daily maintenance. You can use that as a movement snack. If you've been sitting all day, get up for a couple of minutes, find something to hold on to, take your hip through 5 or 6 circles one way and 5 or 6 circles the other. You'll be amazed how much just that little movement stack can make a difference in how your hip feels. So they are 5 things that made a huge difference in my own body, making sure that my hips feel limber and more supple now that I'm almost 40 than I did in my 20s. So take those So take those tips, start utilizing those exercises daily, do it for at least a month, and then check in how your hips feel. And I can almost guarantee they're going to feel better than if you just sit all day and stretch. This is a way better approach. I would love to hear if you take any of those tips on, you give them a go. Please comment below this video, and we really appreciate your support. Please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you get your notifications so you know when we drop a new video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So they are 5 tips that made a huge difference in my hips feeling limber and strong and supple now that I'm almost 40, way more than I did in my 20s. So I really hope you take on this approach rather than just sitting all day and then doing stretching for hours on end. Start integrating these tips every day for at least a month, and I can guarantee you're gonna notice a difference in your hips. If you give any of these tips a go, please comment below this video. And we really appreciate your support in us growing our channel, helps us put out more videos. Make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're getting notified when we put out a new video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.